CoreFire, most of you probably wonder, who is CoreFire and, what do we do? We are a mobile technology provider. We founded the company 3 years ago. We're headquartered up in Alpharetta, but our history goes back to Seoul, Korea, and it goes back 10 years to a company called SKCNC. So from a corporate standpoint, we leverage 10 years of mobile experience originating out of Seoul, Korea. SK Group is a $100 billion conglomerate, and so we own SK Telecom. We also own the largest retailer in Korea, and very intertwined, I guess, in the South Korea marketplace. The genesis, again, of that really started with transit, and if you look at Korea today, we operate and process over 30 million transactions per day. We look at mobile commerce as really an ecosystem play, and it's really around allowing the consumer to live what we call the mobile lifestyle. As we branched out from Seoul 3 years ago, the U.S. market was a primary target for us, but our mission and our focus is global. So CoreFire is the world headquarters for mobile commerce for SKCNC, the $100 billion conglomerate. When we go back again, leveraging our history and our experience, when we look at this ecosystem, we really say and know from our experience that there's three key pillars that this needs to stand up on. And as you hear First Data talk and NCR talk, our goal is not to be a consumer brand. Our goal is to power companies like these brands out there. So whether it's payments, whether it's point of sale, whether it's pre-purchase, purchase, or post-purchase activity, that's what we're focused on. And understanding that mobile has become the third screen or the fourth screen, depends on what you want to call it, the tablets that people are carrying around. But the consumer today wants to transact and be recognized in the way that they live their life. 25 years ago, most of us decided where we were going to shop based on how we were going to pay. Because a merchant was a Visa merchant, they were a MasterCard merchant, and very few people took American Express, so you always carried two cards. But today, cards aren't an issue, and whether it's cash or not, the challenge now is what's electronified and what's not. What sits on my phone and what's not. What's secure and what's not secure. And what can I have real time and who's recognizing me. So whether it was a billboard that you saw that caused you to transact or want to transact, 25 years ago, today it's a text message, it's an email, it's an alert, and it also has to do with the post-purchase activity. And so when you start looking at the analytics, very key component, but it really comes down to recognizing myself as a consumer, where I like to purchase, when I like to purchase, how I like to pay, and how I like to get recognized, whether it's rewards, and will rewards become a currency in itself? Will we begin bartering? We will see. Those trends are happening in other countries. We will continue to build the technology to allow the stakeholders in the ecosystem today to leverage the mobile channel and ultimately to allow the consumer to live what we call live life mobile. So in the first 3 years, accomplishments that we've had so far, first and foremost is First Data and our partnership with them. And that really, as you'll see in the next slide, is really about getting payment credentials down to the phone, real time, in an acceptable fashion and time frame. It's not 3 minutes, it's 30 seconds. It's 1 or 2 clicks, it's not 20 clicks. And it's secure, right, which is a huge concern. And so, this is not a chipset that's always on. It's a chipset that's protected. It's down on the device. From a prepaid perspective, we looked at in our partnership with eCOMMERCE, which is the largest prepaid distributor and load network in the U.S. today. Very key partnership, looking as we've watched prepaid grow, over the last 10 years. We'll continue to watch that type of technology morph over to the mobile device as well. Google, Dom talked about it. This is really, his gig, but we're proud to be a part of it and empower the First Data TSM. for the Google experience. But when you look at it, it's an ecosystem play. It's Citibank, it's Google Prepaid, it's the NFC activation on the Sprint handset, and it's the certification with MasterCard. None of it works without all the components. And there's got to be a trusted service manager, which is the TSM, but there's also got to be a trusted service provider, and that's the key to First Data, right? Is to be able to stand up and say, I have security mastered. I know what it takes to process transactions real time. But then it also takes a company like ourselves where we've built it, we've deployed it before, and we know how to operate it, and we can either allow a third party to operate it or we'll operate it for them. So in summary, when we look at this, it's somewhat the barbell approach where the left-hand side is getting credentials to the phone and then giving the consumer a reason to transact. And as you've watched this start to develop and people will ask, well, is that NFC going to happen in the US? My answer is it's happening today. The key is we've got to get payment credentials to the phone. So that's your credit cards. And so when you look at the left-hand side, Google, big disruptor, First Data, huge infrastructure play. And you start looking at Bank of America and Citi and Chase and MasterCard and Visa and PayPal's in there someplace. And, you've got prepaid in there. On the right-hand side, it's around the incentives. It's around where can I spend? Where can I use? Where am I going to get recognized? Right? Where am I going to be today? Where am I going to be tomorrow? Where am I now? But then also you come down underneath and you look at the rewards and you look at the offers and you have all these other companies wanting to enter into this ecosystem, right? So whether it's daily offers or it's, my travel rewards or, it's the ability to gift, right? And there will be a Christmas coming soon where we will sit around and forget about Uncle Bob and we'll pick up our phone and we'll say and send a text and Merry Christmas. And a gift card is going to take off out of First Data's platform. It's going to run across Incom. They're going to activate it. It's going to end up on an AT&T device, and Uncle Bob's going to say, hey, thanks for the, and eventually we're going to attach video to it, and it'll probably be on YouTube, right? So, but it takes all of that. But our position is somebody has to stand in the middle and build the technology that's scalable and dependable and economical, right? Because price is obviously a key. And so in having the ability to invest and to stay into the market. And so when you go back and look at our experience, you go back and look at our capital structure, it's always nice to be backed by a $100 billion company. It's nice to have technology you can leverage and engineers that have been doing it for 10 years. But it also takes the localization and partnerships like our partners and our management team and the people that work within our company. So 3 years, we're a little over 50 employees. We're tracking to be close to 90 by the end of this year here in Atlanta. We have an office in San Francisco. We soon will have an office in Europe and an office in Manhattan.